The Cypher. Prepare for another all-nighter.
On the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
And that music, you know what that means. We are about to dive in headfirst into March Madness talk. Doing some bracketology in the studio tonight.
Yeah.
Picking our teams. Man, it seems like it took a while to get here, but it's finally here. So if you want to call and weigh your thoughts, you can always call in 773-591-1690. If you happen to be a social media guru, go ahead and get in at the Sports Cypher as well, or Facebook, Sports Cypher. You can get all your thoughts in either way. So, finally, all of the division tournaments are over. I watched quite a bit of the Big Ten tournament, obviously with my fingers crossed.
I was waiting for them to see if they would be able to break through and get in.
They played well in the Big Ten tournament. They did. They played well. That game they lost against Michigan State, it was their game to lose. They led that game the entire time into the last 2 minutes of the game, and then Michigan State turned it up.
Well, Michigan State's a good team. They wound up getting a good seed in this thing. But joining us to talk about this, Maya, is Jennifer Day.
Hey, how are you guys?
And we are great, Jennifer. You told me earlier, like, you're really not into college basketball, but I think the reasoning for having you here is because there's so many people that do these brackets and do this stuff. And when I've been involved in stuff in, like, offices and places I've worked, it's always the person that has the least knowledge of the sport that winds up doing the best.
I know, that's kind of crazy,
Yeah,
right?
it's crazy how it works. So we're just going to pretty much throw some games at that point. People are going to pick if you have any, like, background thoughts on any of the teams, you know anything, so you just like the colors. Hey, they have North Carolina. Don't they have those Jordans that everybody used to wear back in the 90s?
I know, and I love Jordans.
See, you remember those. See, so any point of reference, that's the point of this. This is to be fun. This isn't to be over-analytical and sportsy, if that's a word.
That is fabulous. I'm with that. I'm with that.
Right, so we're going to kick it off. We're going to have some fun. Let's start here at the bottom right-hand corner. We're going to start with the East. Since the Illini are the relatively hometown team there in Champaign, they wound up getting the 7th seed, and they're playing Colorado in the first round now. As far as I know about the Illini, I know nothing about Colorado. I know they're the Buffaloes. But the Illini, they have a really good player in Brandon Paul and a good three-point shooter in DJ Richardson, and they're in probably the toughest conference in college basketball, the Big Ten, so I'm going to pick Illinois in that one.
I'm with you. I don't know enough about Colorado to know that they're worth an upset, so I'm going to go with Illinois as well.
Yeah, like I said, I know absolutely nothing about Colorado.
I'm going with Illinois.
So you have on the colors, even though it's the Bears, but it's the same.
I'm everything about Illinois. I'm totally following you guys on that.
Where we at, man?
Definitely. Illini. Find Illini. Let's go.
Let's keep going. And they would play the winner of the Miami Pacific game in the second round.
Miami.
Yeah, Miami's been balling. They beat Duke this year, so they've been playing really well. ACC champs, all that good stuff. So let's go with that one, Miami. All right, we're going to move up Marquette and Davidson. Up further in the East here, Marquette, they're known for Dwayne Wade. They have some pretty good players this year. Davidson.
Jimmy Butler?
Who?
Yeah, Jimmy Butler, too.
Jimmy
Butler.
Jimmy. The Bulls draft pick.
Yeah.
I said great players.
Right, I was going to say that.
I said great players.
Oh, here
I was
we
just
go.
showing a little love to, Jimmy, who's been stepping up a little bit.
He has.
You know.
So everybody's picking even though Davidson has a pretty pronounced history as well, so that's a good thing.
Davidson's who's their biggest star to be in the NBA right now is
Steph
Curry.
Steph Curry.
Joining us as well now after he does what he does is the man, the myth, the legend, every week, every day from 6 to 9 here in the morning, Matt McGill. Matt, what's the deal, brother? What's going on?
What's happening, brother? How are you?
Pretty good. So, we're picking these games. We we did 2 of them so far. We picked Illinois over Colorado.
I got the brackets right here, so I don't need to.
Oh, well, yeah, right.
You don't mind. Pull my mic up for me, Malcolm.
If you can. There we go.
There we go. That's Matt McGill right there.
Number one, I am happy to see that Duke is not a number 1 seed because I would have been screaming bloody murder if Duke had gotten a number 1 seed after Miami not only won the ACC outright and then won the tournament as well, the ACC championship. So, and let me tell you, man, I would not have been surprised if Duke would have got a number 1 seed. So I think everybody knows tomorrow morning I'm going to be happy on the show because I hate Duke with a passion.
What's the reasoning for that? There's so many people.
What is it? Yes,
it's a Duke. I mean, you're not the only one. There's a lot of people that feel that way about them.
You know what I think? I think because people don't. I mean, think about why people hate Miami.
Why?
There are a lot of people because they have the best team. They have the best players, and they have the best team, right? So some of that is the reason behind it. I think also And I said I totally hate that Jabari Parker's going to do.
Yeah.
Totally hate it. Because here's, the best player in the state of Illinois, arguably the best player in the country, and our state school can't keep him. The University of Illinois can't keep him. He's going to Duke.
Like
the
that.
ACC gets him, and not the Big Ten. I would be happy if he even went to Michigan State. If he stayed in the Big Ten.
I thought he was going to Michigan State.
It came down to that. A lot of people felt that he was going to go because of his father, Sonny Parker, they said. Now, one of the things that I heard, and I'm not sure how true this is, but I guess Sonny's a little ill and not doing well, and they said Duke took care of Sonny Parker when they went on that visit. They said they were, and to their credit, they know how to recruit. They said they were the one program that reached out and said, we're going to make sure that your father's accommodated when he comes here. That's what one of my sources told me. And that would make a difference to a young man who's 17 years old and is deciding where he's going to spend the next couple of years of his life. Notice I didn't say 4 years.
Next year.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Maybe just
one.
All right. So Matt is the expert. Like I was saying earlier, we just kind of threw together a mishmash panel right here, and we're going to see where we go with this. Matt, give us a game that kind of stands out here in this bottom East bracket right here.
All right, in the bottom East, let me get a quick look on that. Number one, I think North Carolina State Temple game is one to look out for. Two teams, obviously, that have a rich tradition in the NCAA tournament, right? They know how to win. They come from good. Those are two programs that I would say we would all agree are experienced programs in the NCAA tournament. Watch them because usually teams like that have, and North Carolina State's been playing decent. Out of that could possibly be a bracket buster team. Then you see second round, they'd be running right into Indiana.
Ooh. And
so the potential of some legendary programs, Indiana, North Carolina State. In fact, I think NC State is celebrating their anniversary on winning their 30 years for real. So just think about that. There's some mojo going in their locker room.
Mm-hmm, yep. I think Indiana is the best team in this tournament. It kind of sucks if you're a hometown Illinois guy, or for like teams like Butler who normally put on big runs in the tournament. Different teams like Syracuse who kind of slowed down going down the stretch here, but they're normally known for going deep in the tournament. I think Indiana is going to come up. This looks like a pretty easy bracket for them, I think.
It looks like – I agree with you, man. It looks like a cakewalk for Indiana.
I wouldn't necessarily throw out the ACC champions now.
No,
Miami has something to play for.
I agree.
Yeah. So look out for if Miami.
I saw him down there. My bad.
Indiana didn't look fit to form in the Big Ten tournament
against Wisconsin.
Not necessarily either. So that momentum, they're not rolling with the momentum you'd like for them to have going into the big games.
But I think with the Big Ten, though, that's the cream of the crop as far as conferences go. So those were wars. Every game being played was a war in the Big Ten. So I think that's going to help a team like Indiana and even Illinois kind of get a little deeper than a lot of people would expect them to get. I think Illinois can beat Miami based on playing the rigorous schedule that they played in the Big Ten Conference.
You think so?
Stepping out there, Farqu.
I can't step out there with you.
I don't know about that one.
I can't step out there with
you. You alone on that one, bro.
I might have to go with Miami on that one. I don't know.
I'm just thinking, though, they play all those games they play every night. You're playing Michigan State, Ohio State, even Minnesota. That game they played up there was tough. A lot of good battle-tested teams they had to go against. This is probably going to seem kind of easy to them.
Look, if you buy into what everybody's saying that the Big Ten is the best conference and that the ACC is weak this year, you can make an argument. Usually Big Ten teams play good in the tournament because they smother you on defense.
That's right. That's right.
And Miami's got some ball players though. They've got some good offensive ball players. So I think that bracket actually, now that I look at it, man, you have the potential of some very good games. Like you said, you're looking at Miami, Illinois. You're looking at Butler and possibly Marquette there. That Marquette-Davidson game has got to be good. But even up here, man, you're looking at the potential of NC State and Indiana coming out, and Syracuse is right there in Indiana's bracket. That might be one of the brackets to look at right there.
Yeah, that one looks pretty tough. So just kind of like a brief little.
Barry Larkin's son, plays for Miami.
Yeah,
is that incredible?
Yeah.
You guys heard the story behind that though?
No, what's the story behind that?
He was talking about, ESPN did a little thing on him. He was talking about how he tried to, as any pro baseball player would do, he was trying to get his son to play baseball. He bring him to the park, put the bat in his hand, and he just didn't want to play baseball. He didn't like it. So, he said he got a little upset about that, as any father would. And he said the kid just started playing basketball on his own. And he said, all right, you go ahead and play basketball. Good luck with that.
That's funny.
Good luck with that one. I guess you're going to be the next Michael Jordan, huh, son? And look at him,
He's
man.
good.
He's making a name for himself.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I wonder if that's the same thing that happened with Darryl Strawberry kid. A few years back, DJ was playing in Maryland. So I wonder if that's kind of the same route, if they kind of had like some contentious relations behind him
It's
going
too
into
boring.
basketball.
Daddy is too boring.
You know, he's probably
If kids really knew, though, that's where the money is.
Yeah, I know. That's right.
That's what I try to tell my
That's right.
son. Like, son, you have the least chance of injury, and you're going to make the most guaranteed money. So is it agreed that everybody kind of has Indiana coming out of the East? Who do you have coming out of the East, Maya, to get to the Final Four? We're kind of speeding through this right now.
I can't discount Miami. I just can't do it.
That's be good. What the hell?
I can't. It's
I'm
tough.
already writing
Even
Indiana
though,
in the
but I'm
Final
gonna tell you
Four
this.
right here.
That would be what, Elite Eight? If they met up, that would be
Yeah,
an
that would
Elite
be
Eight,
good.
Let me
right?
just say
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
I'm going to go ahead. Since I am a Big Ten alum, I'm going to go ahead and ride and die and take Indiana.
Okay.
Pains me a little bit.
Where'd you go to school?
Iowa.
All right, they didn't make. They just barely didn't make
They
the
barely.
tournament.
They played
Yeah.
hard.
But see, they had a better conference record than Illinois, but I
you know
think their
something?
quality of schedule
Let
is
me
what
just say
beat them.
this. I would have preferred for them not to make it to the tournament and get flat. So you know what? They're not ready. I think next year they will be ready. So I'm okay with
I
that.
think going 9-9 in the Big Ten was pretty good. All right, let's go up here to the South. Where, you have, it seems like Kansas. You have some traditional powers like North Carolina, Villanova, Michigan. With everybody junior is on Michigan, it seems like. They have about 4 or 5 juniors on that team. UCLA, of course, probably most storied team in the whole tournament. You know, you have Florida, who's had some good history. So some more historical teams up here in the South.
And Georgetown too,
Yeah,
buddy.
yeah,
I tell you
Georgetown,
that you know that's one of the teams could be. You look at that conference, man. You got Georgetown, Louisville. You know, some people say that conference is playing the best ball out of that. I don't know. That's a good one, bro.
See, now to me, the Big East always comes off as a little overrated. You know, because their teams normally get in and get bounced in the first or second round. They
That's
usually
like
wind
history.
up.
Like back in the day, that was the conference that had it all.
Right.
Well, you won't have that anymore.
Yes,
That's not going to be the same.
Quickly being
East.
disbanded. Absolutely.
Well, just look at the potential of a second round matchup between Kansas and North Carolina.
Yeah.
Bill Self and
Roy Williams.
going against Roy Williams,
Yeah.
going against his old program. Wow.
Yeah, so that would be great. VCU, I think, is a sleeper team over here. Shaka Smart, he usually has those guys making moves in the
I am a
tournament.
full-blown VCU fan ever since my cousin played there the first year with Shaka. I am just so about them every year. Love them.
Yeah.
But I think that second round game, that's going to be a war. VCU, Michigan, if that comes out the way this is projected to, because Michigan with Tim Hardaway, everybody they probably have the best backcourt out of all of these teams. Honestly, Michigan.
And you look at Florida and how decent Florida has been over these last 2 years. And now just think about if Doc Rivers' son had gone to Florida.
Oh,
Like
man.
that would've been
he had.
great.
Could he stayed, though? He probably still would have left.
Right.
but
Well,
still.
you know, I think he left Duke because he was unhappy there. To be honest with you, man, from you know some of the stuff that I heard, he didn't like the way the style of play, which kind of and you look at him and how he plays. He's more of a freestyle, free flowing guy. But you got he did commit to Florida after his sophomore year in high school and changed his mind and went to Duke. So think about if he would have actually went to Florida.
Oh, it would have been nice.
Yeah.
See, that happens again back to Duke. I hate to keep harping on them, but there have been a lot of guys not only from Chicago but from other parts of the country that go down there that with all this hype, but they don't live up to it when they come out of there or even while they're there. Like Sean Dockery is a perfect example.
Oh,
Me and some
please.
buddies
You're
of
gonna make me
mine.
cry, man.
We don't want to talk about Sean.
Don't make me cry, man. That's my Julian alumnus there.
But he was supposed to be that dude out there, and it never materialized.
Duke is good for creating utility players. If you look around the league, some of the best utility players that you see come from Duke. That's the problem with the Bulls. They have 2 Duke players on the squad that don't work. You cannot have Dang and Boozer both on the same floor at the same time. I'm not trying to be mean, but they create great utility players.
You know, I think Dang has more than any other. Well, if you look at Duke players who has kind of broken that mold that you're talking about, because you're dead on. If you look at a Chris Duhon and a Shane Battier, those are the typical
J.J. Redick and
Duke, fill-in players. That do
Christian Leighton, I mean, the list is so long.
Yeah.
Of
yeah.
players they have
But
produced.
now, who would you say have bucked that trend? You'd have to say Grant.
Kyrie Irving.
Right. Kyrie Irving.
Irving,
Right.
If Grant Hill would have stayed healthy,
And Grant Hill stayed healthy.
I think you would have seen him elevate past that utility
Yeah, I
role.
agree with you on that.
And-
Grant was always hurt.
And then Elton Brand. Could he's somebody
But you
if
know
he
what?
stayed with the Bulls, perhaps.
He's one of them guys that put up numbers, but everywhere he goes, the team sucks.
That's right. I just saw him on somebody's bench too. Who is he
He's
with?
in Dallas.
Is he?
Oh, he's in Dallas.
he's in
I'm about to say
Dallas.
Philly. Dallas, yeah.
Yeah, he's on the
Okay.
Mavericks. So I think out of the South, just looking at the way this kind of lays out, Kansas, Ben McLemore is a great scorer, but they're not that great a team. I kind of like Michigan over here.
Yeah.
In the
the
bracket
South.
itself, the South?
Yeah, in the South. I like Michigan in the
Do
South.
not sleep
bracket.
on those Hoyas.
Yeah, you can put. You got 3, maybe 4 teams
Yes.
that you could pick. You could go with Kansas. You could go with I'm not so sure that North Carolina's not playing good ball right now.
But see, the thing with Georgetown, I don't think they can score enough. That's the problem with a lot of those Big East teams. They don't get enough buckets for me, and I think Michigan does that. So I'm rolling with Michigan personally. In the South.
Good choice.
We did the South and the East, kind of like speed brackets, a lot of voices on the mic. Let's go out here to the West right now. And Gonzaga, the probably most unlikely number one team in the nation, in the history of number one teams in the nation, when you think about it, because they really, while they've had a great run of success here in the last 15 years in the tournament, nobody can really see them being a number one. But here they sit, and they'll be playing Southern in the first round. Are we going to see a 1 beat a 16 this year? And wouldn't it be great to kind of see Southern do this? Seeing that it's at HBCU. Wouldn't that be kind of cool?
That'd be incredible.
It would be.
Right,
I think that would be a great story. I mean, that'd be something for us to talk about on this station.
Oh, man, no doubt. Yeah, but, it's interesting because Gonzaga is so used to being, they're usually Cinderella at the tournament, right? They usually come in unranked. Well, not unranked, but they come in like the underdog and they make it. It's going to be interesting to see how they play as a number one seed.
I'm telling you, well, I'm not saying that they're going to do it, but
I thought you was about to say this other going to beat them.
Out of all of these, that would probably be the one that most people would pick because it's Gonzaga, so nobody can really see them being a number one. But you have some other – this looks like –
the softest bracket.
Yeah.
For a number one team, that is the softest bracket.
You could see Ohio State. You could see Notre Dame, anybody coming out of this bracket right here, the West. Wisconsin, is it possible another Big Ten team could come out of a bracket?
You know what? You look at Wisconsin has that knack of getting to the Sweet 16. I tell you that much.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put them out of it at all. I mean, I think, like you said, Farqu, this is a wide open bracket. I mean, Gonzaga, they got 2 losses. When you look at, against there's some debate about whether or not they should have been a number one seed just based on. In fact, the tournament said it was between them and Miami who's going to get that last number one seed.
Right. I think their number one ranking gave them that. And then Illinois beat Gonzaga in Gonzaga's building earlier this year. That's when Brandon Paul dropped, 35 on them. So
35, yeah.
Yeah, so I think Gonzaga, they're kind of shaky right here. I don't know who to pick out of here. Kansas State, Bruce Weber's out there now.
You're right. You can't underestimate them. Or, Arizona coming out. I think the Pac-10 has been underrated a little bit. But, you look at some of the seeds coming out of the Pac-10. California, we were, just over in the South looking at California. And, but you never know with the Pac-10. Keep your eyes on them. Arizona's one of those teams that can sneak up and get you.
Well, based on the talent and the toughness, it's a toss-up between Notre Dame and Ohio State for me right now. And they would play in the second round. So
wow. This second round, you look around, there are some very good second-round matchups, potential second-round matchups. Yep. That one would be a great – Ohio State, guys, I think is playing about as well as anybody in the country right now.
Yeah, they came out of nowhere and got that Big Ten Conference tournament title here this weekend. So a lot of people were looking at some other teams for that, and Ohio State winds up winning it. They were struggling coming into the tournament. So, wow, am I going to pick another Big Ten team? That would make 3.
Go ahead and do it.
Commit. Do it.
Right.
Could you? Could? Are you picking to make it to the Final Four?
To the Final Four. I'm really kind of leaning toward Ohio State over here.
Don't sleep on Wisconsin, though, man.
Yeah,
don't sleep
but it would be another Big Ten
Wisconsin.
team. So I could see Wisconsin, too. I really can't see any of these other teams.
You're right.
Honestly.
Looking at where they're at in the bracket.
Yeah.
Right.
And the teams that are in that bracket. It's highly probable it could happen.
I can definitely see a Big Ten team winning this between Wisconsin and Ohio State. Definitely.
I'm with you though. Coming out of the West and coming out, who are the 2 that you picked from the Big Ten? Indiana,
I picked Indiana and Michigan over on the other side, of the East and the South.
I definitely see Indiana and Ohio State making it to the Final Four.
Okay.
I think Michigan's got a little tougher road, and they have been playing. It depends on what Michigan team you get.
They rely on those threes too much.
They rely on the outside shot a little bit, but Indiana and Ohio State, I think you're dead on with those 2.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna go with Ohio State. So that makes 3 Big Ten teams for me. So we might wind up with all Big Ten Final Four if it's up to me. So that's one. Who are you rolling with out of there, Jennifer?
I'm rolling with Ohio State.
Yeah. So you just blew on those lucky dice for me. So
I'm telling you. Let's go.
All right. Anybody else differ with that?
Yeah, I think
I'm going Wisconsin.
Okay.
I'm going Wisconsin.
Bo Ryan, huh?
Yeah. I like Wisconsin coming out of that.
That wouldn't be a shock at all. You see the same way, Mike?
No, I'm going with Ohio.
I'm alone on the island by myself.
That's right, Maya.
Hey.
Let's go.
In fact, they might be the strong. Really thinking about it, they might be the strongest Big Ten team. Indiana has the best offense, no doubt.
Right.
Ohio is balanced on both sides of the ball, offensive and defensively. So,
I agree.
And that's what appeals him for me.
This is just crazy how we just so disrespecting Gonzaga. Just get out of here.
Pretty much.
Number one seed, first time, and get out of here.
Now the number 1 overall seed out of this is Louisville Cardinals, my stomping grounds for a few years, and they will be playing the winner of North Carolina A&T, another HBCU, and Liberty in the first round. So maybe that could be where we see the one lose to the 16, possibly.
Yeah,
because Louisville doesn't score. I've watched a lot of their games, and
So wait a
they
minute.
have a hard time scoring. They play great defense, but they have a hard time scoring.
You're saying right.
I'm not saying that.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I'm saying I could.
Just want to make sure.
I could see if it would happen. I could see a 16.
I'm Stevie Wonder on that one. I ain't seeing that one at all.
But that's the thing, though. And I heard Dick Vitale and a bunch of other analysts this year talking about the lack of scoring in college basketball this year.
It's down. It is down.
How teams struggle to get to 60 points now.
Yeah.
And you kind of saw that with the Big Ten tournament today. What Ohio State got 52 points
I know, 52.
to win that game?
Like,
Yeah.
what was
So
No,
that
50.
about?
Well, one of the things they have to do, man, is they have to start giving that continuation call. I mean, when they call, a lot of times they'll call a block and they will not include the basket. The basket doesn't count. I mean, they just need to soften the rules up a little more like the pros do, so that the advantage goes to the offensive player a lot of times. They don't give the continuation that we see in the pros, right? And so, and one, as we know in the pros, sometimes we're critical of how long it is. Like, boy, you gave them the bucket on that one.
all the way down the paint.
Right, but in college, they just wipe it off, man. They call the foul right there, and no continuation at all. That would be one suggestion to get some points on the board. I think.
All right, I'll throw this out, though, to everybody. What about, the exodus of everybody leaving early after freshman and sophomore years and stuff? How much does that have to do with this lack of scoring?
That's definitely do a little something
I
because
think
you don't have that fundamental that you can get in college.
And that continuity
That
is
counts
out there.
big.
That's
Right.
gone. That chemistry that you build. Teams that had 4-year players stay in that duration play different than you're here for a year and you're gone.
A la Butler going to the Final Four. I mean, going to the championship 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
VCU going very deep. Those teams, those players stay for 3 or 4 years. They're good. They learn how to score.
They know how to play
And they
together.
keep how to play together, right?
What can you do about it? Players want to go and they want to make the money. I don't know if
Nothing.
they can change. Yeah,
Nothing.
There's
I
nothing you
think
can do about it.
right.
Yeah,
I mean,
can't do nothing about
Duke was like one of the last programs to kind of hold on to players for 4 years. And I mean, you even look at some of the players they have on the team this year. They've got some players that have been around for a while. I think we're just going to keep seeing college basketball. It's still fun to watch.
It is.
But the best players are going to be in the pros. There's no
Right.
doubt about it.
I think one of the biggest things that tend not to get mentioned is the free throw shooting. Like when Memphis played Kansas a few years ago and D. Rose was there, the year he was in Memphis, Calipari was being interviewed before the game, the title game, and they were asking him about his team's lack of free throw shooting, and he's like, it's not an issue. But what wound up losing that game for them at the end?
Free
Derrick
throws.
Rose
Free
missing a
throws.
free throw,
Yeah,
late in the game.
exactly.
So, but I think that kind of carries on. You see with NBA teams now with the whole Hacker Dwight and all of these guys shooting in the 50s and 40s for free throw percentage. I think a lot of that is the product of the low scoring as well, but a lot of people don't mention that. And I think that's a basic fundamental that gets slept on. Big time.
Speaking of Derrick Rose, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, let's talk about him. that's
We can
all
go on
there
for
is, right?
hours.
All right, I was about to say, that's the
Rumor
next-
has it.
Let's talk about Derrick Rose.
That's the next segment.
Come
All
on,
right.
Maya. Talk about Derrick Rose.
Fruc is like, we're going to get through this bracket right now.
Yeah, let's get to that. But,
Let's switch gears.
we did break that story about him being cleared on the on this show. So
Wow.
big ups.
Everybody took a punch on that one.
Yeah.
Well, that is a controversial move by the Bulls to even release that information that he had been cleared.
They're mad. They're trying
Physically.
to get him up off his butt.
Yeah, you don't do that.
All right, so back up here to the Midwest. As we were saying, Louisville, they don't score a lot, but they're the overall number one team. The team I like that isn't as good as I thought they'd be would be Missouri. They have one of the best point guards in the nation, and Flip Pressey to me. I think Michigan State, obviously, we've been talking about them, is pretty good. Creighton has who a lot of people think is the best player in the tournament, and McDermott out there, and Duke. So there are a few teams here that are pretty
Well,
good.
I hate Duke, so no, I'm just kidding. Have
like-
I made
Albany's
that
taking
clear?
them out.
You know what? I gotta say, I love Duke.
What's the reason behind your Duke love?
No, because they're winners. I love Duke. I love Duke.
Oh, so almost everybody loves a winner, huh?
You know what I don't like about Duke, man?
What?
It's not hard to win when every year you get the best players in the country. You're supposed to win.
That's Duke. It's
And,
Duke.
and I would like to see, I would like to see Coach K come out with an all-black team one year.
What?
Okay, now
One
Matt,
year.
now,
That's
Matt,
not gonna
Matt, I'm
happen.
gonna have to take the task on this. Why does that matter?
Well, it doesn't matter. I just would like to see him do it.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. I would like to see if he would be bold enough to go ahead and do that. I mean, you would
still win. I think they could still win.
I just like to see him do it.
But the Plumleys are pretty good players, though. They don't. A lot of their guys get to the NBA, like we were saying, become role players. But I think they have some really, really good college players, and those Plumlee cats.
But let me ask you this though: the guy that they're all fawning about now, who was it?
Just
Kelly.
Yeah.
Kelly is it?
Yeah.
Who's
Came
been
out
in?
and got 36 in one game, hit all those threes.
You look at them though, Farqu. You look at them, and they're just like, "Hey, Duke is only one." In fact, before they lost on Friday, Duke has never lost a game with him in the lineup, and that's why I'm glad they lost Friday, right? So because they're trying to be like, oh, the only reason why Duke has lost to Virginia and Maryland twice and is because they did not have this guy in the lineup. Well, they lost.
So you kill all that.
Right, you kill all that. They lost with him. He's a good player. He's got a shot. He's not in the NBA. He's going to be what did you say he was? The Duke players are utility players. But they're trying, and the credit. What I don't like about Duke is sometimes I think the credit goes toward some of the non-black players, and it seems like they're overcompensating by giving all of this credit to some of the non-black players. You brought up Sean Dockery. I mean, if y'all want to go there and talk about race in Duke, I think there's an issue there. Sean Dockery, to me, was the most talented player on that team, but you continuously heard about other players like, whoa, Joe, look at him dive for the ball. He's a hard worker. And some of the words that are used to describe the white players on that team. He's smart. He's a general on the court. He's just like an extension
hard
of
worker.
Hard worker.
Whereas
Grant Hill is gifted.
Wait, but you do realize
He can leap out the gym.
But Matt, you got to realize that college is the last frontier for white basketball.
And I do understand.
So this is where you get
Right,
your glory.
I do understand.
After college, the glory for a white player. Who
Is
talked
gone.
about this? Wally Serbiak? How he just absolutely went head. He was like, look, it's not fair if I don't get drafted. I mean, he went head on into it.
Right.
College is
Good point.
the last frontier as a white player that you can get real accolades. Because once you hit the NBA,
You done?
You're done.
National Black Association.
Except for David Lee. David Lee's dope.
I look at Rubio. You got some
Rubio,
good. You got some good. I know you got some good players. I mean, but those players.
But the overall.
Yeah,
right.
those players usually don't come from Duke, though. That's the interesting
no,
about
no,
it, man.
no, they don't.
Think about John Shire coming out.
I was
of
just
Duke.
going to mention him.
Yeah.
I was just going to mention
So we
him.
can it's like a list of players that kind of fit that bill. But you got to, I give them credit. They have the program and they have the coach. They have the pedigree. And you know what you got to give Duke credit for? It's probably one of your top 10, 15 colleges.
Period.
Universities.
Yeah, I
period.
mean,
academically.
Right.
That ain't no joke.
You would think why you would try to figure out why Northwestern can't do that.
I think
They fired their coach.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
if they do
Yeah.
that,
I was
possibly.
gonna say it's probably because the coach isn't there anymore.
But no,
Get a good coach and turn it around.
Yeah.
All right, so who do we like in the Midwest? I'm leaning towards
I'm going Big Ten there. I'm going Michigan State. Even though I think it's going to be between Michigan State and Louisville.
Matt, I'm with you on that. I'm gonna go. It comes down to those two.
I'm going number 1 seed Louisville on this one.
Michigan
That's it.
State.
Just because they number one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michigan State.
You roll with the chalk. It usually works.
they play the best defense
Yeah,
out of
they
any
do.
of these teams. So
I don't think we can disrespect the number one overall team
Of
like
course
that.
not. I'm not saying you should.
I definitely I like this. I like this matchup for them. I think Louisville can definitely come out the Midwest.
yeah, because it's not that tough. I think
Exactly. It's not that tough.
if anybody will get them, it'll be Michigan State.
That's what I said.
So man,
And that'll be the Elite
So
Eight.
Farouk, you got what did you decide? Now you Big Ten. You
yeah,
got
I've been
3.
Big Ten all
You
the
got-
way, but I'm kind of.
Come on, Farouk.
I think since I actually laid my head in Louisville for 3 years, I'm going to lean towards them. So
Nah, there you go, brother.
I'm going to go with U of L, as they like to call it down there on 4th Street in
Louisville.
Louisville.
But you look at that bracket though, guys, and you're talking about 3 legendary coaches there: Rick Pitino, Mike Krzyzewski, and
Tom Izzo.
And Tom Izzo. You're talking about 3 guys that have proven have done it right. They have done it. Excellent recruiters, all
Yeah.
of them. You know what I mean? That is really an elite bracket right there, just in terms of coaches, Hall of Fame coaches right there, buddy.
All right, so I have U of L against Ohio State and Michigan against Indiana, and I'm going to say Ohio State against Michigan. That would be like a big football matchup for the national title, and I'm going to roll with Michigan. I'm rolling with Michigan to take it off. I'm rolling with the Wolverines to win the Final Four.
Nobody gave any love to Notre Dame. Any reason?
They got good teams.
Yeah, they have a good team. Better in
Patrick State,
basketball
could we
than
just get little
football.
love?
Oh, no.
Little love? No.
This is the brackets. No.
So who you got, Maya, in this Final Four? Who you got taking this thing?
Give me a minute. I got to think about this.
All right, we only got like a minute and a half.
I know.
All right, we'll keep it moving. D.
Louisville definitely in Final Four. Got Wisconsin Final Four. I have Georgetown coming out the South, and I got Indiana coming out the East. That's my Final Four.
Okay, no champ. You don't have a champ?
My champ, you know what? I'm going to roll with Indiana, actually.
Okay.
I'm going to roll with Indiana. Yeah.
Okay, Jennifer?
I've got Georgetown.
Wow. Going against the grain.
That's a good pick. Yeah, good pick.
Let me think about it because I'm leaning with a couple of different picks right now.
Okay, and Mr. Matt.
All right, my Final Four is going to be Louisville, Ohio State. I'm going to go with Kansas and Indiana. I know I'm not going too far off of the favorites there. And then I'm going to say Ohio State. I'm going to take Ohio State to take out. I think they're playing the best ball right now at the right time of the year.
Okay, all right. So there it is. We speed filled out the brackets right there. 40 minutes condensed of 68 teams, but it was cool. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.